What are your bold takes for the rest of the 2024 MLB season? I posted on Twitter that exact question, and you all left about 60 to 70 comments. We posted it on Instagram as well. That got 60 or 70 comments. You guys have a ton of hot takes. And Armlade and I, Peter Apple, we separated them into mild, medium, and hot, and we are going to react to those, as well as take care of a few headlines, including Jordan Walker getting sent down by the Cardinals and this Texas Rangers rehab rotation being unbelievably elite. And it is all brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Remember, folks, use code JustBaseball when you download BetMGM on iOS or Android. Why? You get a first bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. So after you download BetMGM, after you use promo code JustBaseball, if you place a wager and it were to lose, you'll get that amount back up to $1,500 in bonus bets. And if it wins, congratulations, you won a bet. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I have won 2 bets in a row. And the reason I don't want to toot my own horn is I have the Phillies against the Braves tonight, and that could ruin the streak. But like I said, I recommend using the code. But gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. Right off the top, I want to get angry, Arm. Right off the top, I want to get angry. The St. Louis Cardinals, my favorite team, I think, to get upset about, because John Mozeliak and I we don't align on some things, and we don't align here. I don't get it. Jordan Walker, you bring him up at the beginning of the year after he wasn't terrible the year before. You don't give him that much run, and yes, he doesn't perform very well, and you send him back down. And then you pull him back up. And it looks to be, for the rest of the season, this guy is a building block in your organization, one of the top prospects now for a while now. He goes 1 for 11. You give him 12 plate appearances, and then you send him back down. And who do you bring up? Luken Baker. And Matt Carpenter is now back off the IL. So you want to give those guys the ABs over Jordan Walker down the stretch. Now, I fully understand that Jordan Walker has not been good in his limited amount of playing time. But is that fully his fault when you're playing him sparingly, bringing him back up and down from the minors? That can't be good for a guy who's 22 years old. I didn't get it. I don't understand what the Cardinals are trying to do here. Tell me, should I be angry, or do you understand it? Is it reasonable?
I mean, the whole timeline's fascinating to me, right? So he's so good. Go back to 2023. He's so good everywhere in the minor leagues and then the AFL that, they're like, okay, this guy could play outfield for us as soon as next year. We got Arenado. We don't need him a third. So they say, hey, learn a new position. You're going to get comfortable in the outfield. He's so good in spring training. He makes the team outright. They gave him how many games before? And this was in his big league debut. And we've talked about how hard it is for guys to get acclimated at the big league level right now. And it was the same thing last year too. They give him 20 games in his big league debut to get acclimated at the big league level before sending him to AAA in 2023. He goes down to AAA for like 30 something games, and he comes back up again and played pretty well the rest of the way. He was an above average big league hitter the rest of the way. Then, of course, if he was above average big league hitter the rest of the way, he's starting this year on the big league roster and shouldn't even be thinking about potentially being sent down to the minor leagues. And what do they do this year? Same thing. He plays what? It was 15 games. I don't even remember how many it was before they sent him down.
It doesn't matter. He didn't make it to May. Like,
Yes.
his stats are March, April, and August. And in August, he has 12 plate appearances.
Yes. So then they send him back down, and he's been there for a while, and he was going through it. And like, okay, if you're going to send him down, I get that, because it was really ugly at points. Okay, if you're going to do that, have him stay. And so he was really going through it, looked brutal, finally felt like he found some rhythm, and finally looked like he was playing pretty well. Wasn't lighting the world on fire, but was playing pretty well. Has a 15-game stretch where he is starting to light the world on fire, has an OPS over 1,000, and they go, oh, you know what? We need a guy to hit lefties right now. So even though and Jack and I talked about it on the episode, I'm like, I'm happy he's back, but I would have loved to have seen a little bit more, a few more ABs to reinforce what he found, because like he had just found it. You could tell he looked comfortable for the first time like all year, and it was like 75 plate appearances of looking comfortable with a slight adjustment offensively and with his moves. They bring him up and say, okay, you're only going to face lefties, and then what? He gets 11 plate appearances or whatever it was before he's saying, you know what, didn't look good enough, got to send you back down. Either if you're going to bring him up, give him the runway the rest of the year, or leave him in AAA and build on what he found and go from there. Luke Baker's been mashing for 2 years now. I don't know if it's going to happen at the big league level, but like you should have just brought Lukin up then. I know he can't play right, but like I don't understand how they are just fully disregarding the mental side of things. And it seems like they continue to do that. Nolan Gorman has a different stance every week. I mean, it's been nice to see Burleson make that leap. And, you know, I know that they've had some history of being able to get guys right, but I've also seen them really mess with guys mental. You don't have to talk about the Wilson Contreras situation. I don't get the handling of him. And I feel like this is just a total confidence destroyer. And ragdolling him back and forth like he's a 25-year-old quad A guy is just bizarre to me. When we're talking about a guy who just turned 22 and still has all the upside in the world. I even think this is different than the Torkelson situation. I mean, he's a high school guy.
Why do you think they're doing it? Because I think that's why it angers me so much, is I truly just don't understand it. And that's usually when it makes me the most angry, because I'm a child in some aspects of life. Like when I don't understand something truly to its core, like it might upset me, especially in baseball. And this is one of those instances. What are they getting from doing this to Jordan Walker? Are you going to send him down and try a new swing? How many new swings does he have? He's
I
not a
think
pitcher. You're not limiting innings or anything like this. It
I
makes
think
zero sense.
I think it's literally they don't care. Like the development, I think I wouldn't say they don't care. Of course they care, but the development comes secondary, and it's like, oh, he might be able to help us right now. Like we need help. Let's go. And it's not okay. Well, are we affecting him long term? You know, is this in his best interest for the rest of his career? It's not that. It's oh my gosh, we can't have another season where we don't make the playoffs. Things are getting ugly right now. We need to turn it around. Maybe Jordan Walker can come up and help us. And then when he can't, okay, let's try somebody else. And like I get that frantic aspect, and that's usually what you do with the 25, 26, 27-year-old guys. Mike Ciani comes up, you send him down. I know he was hurt, but like just theoretically, you bring up a Victor Scott, who's also still a prospect, but you can not worry as much about that. You can recycle different players and try it, but I don't get doing it with like a guy that was not that long ago viewed as a franchise cornerstone for you, still has all the talent in the world, still is just 22, and was just settling in AAA. And then you bring him up and do this. I just I don't understand, and to me it just seems like they're totally disregarding development and the human side for short-term gains and trying to stay afloat. And maybe the team's just not that good, man. Like maybe the team's not that good. And if you thought Jordan Walker platooning versus lefties was going to save you, then I think you're really out of touch with the state of your team right now if you're John Mozeliak.
And that last point is exactly why I do not accept your first answer. And I know you're just playing devil's advocate to find a reason why they would have done it, but I don't accept it. Because the Cardinals, if they are operating under the sense of we need to make moves in order to help us win now, you're 61 and 63 with a negative 62 run differential. You've lost 7 of your last 10 games. And that's why I'm furthering your last point. You think that Luke Baker platooning against lefties instead of Jordan Walker is going to propel you there? Or then bringing back in Matt Carpenter? It makes absolutely no sense to me. It would make almost a little bit of sense if they had some unbelievable platoon bat who had been in the league for 10 years and he was coming off the IL to be that position for Jordan Walker. And that guy happened to play right field. It had to have been the perfect scenario. I still wouldn't have understood it, excuse me, but I at least could not be as upset.
Yeah. I mean,
This
one
makes
for
no
11.
sense.
He was 1 for 11 with 3 strikeouts, like and a walk. So how is that even an opportunity to do anything? That's and he faced Kershaw. Oh, great. He's getting to face a lefty, right? Like, okay, great. He
Nice.
carved everybody, by the way.
Everyone.
Like, I just that's the part that's bizarre to me. I think he finally got a righty, hit at 113. I don't understand. And I guess that'll just be the theme. But and then he gets like Andrew Abbott as well, who's been really solid. Like It's silly to me. 3 of his 11 at bats were against a Hall of Famer. Like I, so it's just weird.
Carve the
They don't
rest of
know
you.
what I don't think they know what they're doing at this point. I really don't.
It's so unfortunate because like what? Uh,
They should trade him for Torque.
yeah,
No, I'd way rather have him, obviously, but like, I don't know. I almost wish he would just that he could get out of there. And I don't know if they'd ever sell low or whatever, but like, I think he would just benefit from playing somewhere else, man. Like, I just would love to see that.
am I an asshole for loving that Dylan Carlson has a 900 OPS with the Rays?
No,
Right?
I've
Like, are
always
you
liked
kidding?
Carlson, and like, I fully was out after this year. This year it was just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. Props to you. I've stayed the course. But no, of course, like, he's a guy that like you want to see succeed. It just seemed too solid for so long, and also just kind of fits the outfielder narrative thing.
Yeah.
With the Cardinals where they go elsewhere and perform. Um, but it's just more like I just want to see this guy get an opportunity to get consistent run elsewhere and maybe not be worried about like this guy's got to look over his shoulder. He should not have it shouldn't have ever been a possibility after being an above average hitter for the duration of the second half last year for him to be sent back down after 20 games this year. Like 20 games? There's a lot of very Hall of Famers will have a bad 20 game open to the season. Like that's the part that just they've been way too impulsive with a player who's very smart, who is willing to adjust, who also has taken on a new position through this whole time, and is very like thoughtful, very intelligent baseball player that I would not want to ragdoll like this. So like, and it affects everybody differently. But I'd imagine that it's probably very hard to find the silver linings in these situations at this point for Jordan Walker. And I hope when they're out of it, if they're out of it over the last month, they bring him back up and just let him play. And I want to see what it looks like when they just let him play.
He was born in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
He's 22 years old. He turned 22 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how you're treating him. The
Yeah, and he's already
cornerstone,
been
the
like optioned like 4 times.
could be the bedrock of this team. The four hitter for 15 years. Could be a 40 home run guy year in and year out. We still love Jordan Walker. I don't think you're changing your stance based on how the Cardinals have traded him. I'm certainly not changing mine. And if he still never works in St. Louis, once he's able to leave, I'm going to buy right back in because the talent is there, but the Cardinals are not treating this situation well.
I
But
mean,
another situation. Oh, no,
sorry,
go ahead.
last thing I just wanted to say, he had a 115 WRC plus over the course of last season. Like a lot of rookies were not that good. And this is somebody that like made the leap quite quickly. Wasn't even expected to make the team out of the gate there. Like 115 WRC plus while learning a new position. That
At
I don't
21.
understand why the leash has been so short. Anyway,
At,
sorry, continue.
at 21 years old.
Yes, at 21 years old in the show. Like look at a lot of other rookies that have gotten way more leeway. And I mean, like Wyatt Langford ain't getting shipped back and forth. He's been hurt and points and whatever, but like
Look at the Orioles. They're giving Jackson Holiday a run at 20 years old, and they're actually in a playoff race.
he was 0 for or 1 for whatever the hell with all those Ks. So they do send him back down and bring him back up, but like I think that's a little bit different where you're getting your doors blown off like that. The Orioles are a team that likes to do it a little bit too, but I think this is just a totally weirdo situation where, um, you know, if they brought Jackson Holiday up to play like in a very limited role, I think that would be weird too. Like he's there to play, and if he's there, he's playing. If he's not, then he should be in AAA. And that's the other thing with Walker. It's like, don't you want him to develop? He was just starting to develop. Now you're bringing him up to platoon when he could be playing every day in AAA and continuing to develop. So that's the other part that doesn't make any sense.
Makes zero sense. All right, let's move on to the Rangers. Rehab rotation. You might think to yourself, what the hell is Peter even talking about? Aram, what am I talking about here? Because I'm smiling because it's kind of electric.
Jacob DeGrom, that guy is pretty good. He's going to be back, it sounds like. And like, I'm so excited to watch this guy throw. Like, I don't even care what it looks like. I just want to see him on the mound.
Me too.
I'm so excited for him there. And then Kumar Rocker, I mean, already getting up to AAA now. He's going to be starting right behind him. Rocker's going to be on our top 100 list the second somebody graduates. I'm actually was just going to check the list, hoping that somebody graduated in the last couple weeks so we can add Kumar Rocker in there. He's been outrageous. So I feel bad for the team that's going to be. I think is it who are they facing? Or it's I don't know what team they're facing, but I feel bad for whoever has to face him because you're gonna have to deal with DeGrom. Even at he was already up to 99 in the pens, so DeGrom throwing fuzz, and then Kumar Rocker sitting 98, 99 as well. So you're gonna have to deal with both of those guys.
And
Rocker has a
then
demon slider,
Scherzer.
and then Scherzer. That what a dream for the
I
ballpark.
know.
Like if you're a minor league team, like what else could you ask for out of that outcome? And I should make the questions double A Frisco. So double A Frisco is gonna have Kumar Rocker on Wednesday, Jacob DeGrom on Thursday, Max Scherzer on Friday. The fact that Kumar Rocker is like the least notable player
Oh
there
yeah.
for obvious reasons, it's two Hall of Famers. It's pretty nuts because anything I tweet about Kumar Rocker gets like 1,000 retweets. Like
It
if
should.
he's a lightning rod.
Half of those are my burners. Just
Yeah,
hyping him up.
it's super cool to see just like the baseball community just he's a name that just seems to resonate. So you have him leading the way before two Hall of Famers, like holy crap. And it's not just oh he's a name. Kumar Rocker has been I think as impressive as anybody. So I think the fact that they've got him leading it off too is really fun. So you see the future and then you can see the present where I don't know as much about Max. It's more just cool. It's like a relic at this point. But DeGrom throwing there after, whew, the fact that they're gonna have Rocker sitting 98 on the first game of that series, and then somehow somebody's going to be throwing harder than him in the next start, presumably. That's just outrageous. So Frisco, enjoy it, soak it in. I'm assuming that there won't be many available seats at the Rough Riders game.
And on top of it all, before we press the record button, you said Jack Leiter had one of the best starts in the minor leagues that I've seen in a while. How's he going?
He just had the most dominant. I think in AAA this year it was outrageous. He struck out 11 in 3 1/3, which is everybody. And his fastball touched 104 times. His slider was disgusting. His curveball was gross. He looked like a different pitcher. I don't know what he found. I'm not asking him. I don't want to bug him right now. Just let him just keep going. But
Let him cook.
holy shit, like that's a totally different arm. If he's doing that, um, that's getting guys out at any level, any freaking level. 100 with above average carry and almost 7 feet of extension. Um, the pitching looks good right now in Texas. I think you got to be pretty excited. If Leiter can capture that more consistently, if Rocker can stay healthy, you're getting DeGrom back. I know it's late for the Rangers now, but I'm already looking at next year and saying, man, this could be fun.
Because Cody Bradford's really developing as an arm for them too. So if they can pair those two with Bradford and then DeGrom as well at the top of that rotation, and then you just have your influx of about all those 7 to 8 stock righties that they have. Maybe one of them could be pretty decent. And then you have that lineup where Josh Young actually is in it for the entire year. And maybe Adolis Garcia doesn't have a down year. Maybe Nate Lowe doesn't have a down year. Maybe Jonah Heim doesn't have a down year.
Langford makes the leap.
Langford makes the leap. Like they are very, very intriguing for 2025. I think that's kind of why we've been sticking with them a little bit, even though after the weekend roundup, we keep talking about the fact that they're just losing every single series.
Yeah, they're dead.
We've kind of counted them out, but we just see so much talent here from a team that won the World Series freaking last year.
Yeah.
And we're just getting hyped for 2025.
Yeah, they're going to be a fun team. They're going to be must-see TV. Rocker will be up there. Leiter should be up there. And you're going to have Jacob freaking DeGrom. Please stay healthy. And I think they're as must-see TV as anybody.
All right. You ready to do some hot takes?
Yeah, I'm excited to see what everybody's got for us.
Yeah, these are going to be bangers. First of all, thank you everybody for leaving those comments, whether that be on Twitter or on Instagram. Just another reminder as well, Mailbag Friday. On Friday, you'll get the three of us. Classic Mailbag. We'll post that graphic Thursday morning because we record it on Thursday. So make sure to stay on our Instagram at Just Baseball Show and on Twitter at JustBB_media. You can find the links to that in the episode description to be featured on Friday's Just Baseball Show. And this is sort of a mailbag. We haven't really done this before. I've done it for TikToks, more reaction, but I wanted to get it on the pod, react to your hot takes. So we got 3 mild, 3 medium, 3 really hot takes, and I added in a fun one. It's a would you rather. But before we get to all of those, let's take a quick break. So I gathered all of these hot takes, and I'm going to throw it over to Aram to see if he thinks that the take is mild, medium, or hot, because I grouped these.
Yeah.
Me. So if Aram thinks it's actually hotter than I think, or more mild than I think, it'll create a fun conversation. So we'll start We'll start out slow and then gradually get into it.
We got to ease our way into this because social media, of course, historically very reasonable and tempered and measured takes.
And it's so funny to see the differing amounts of fans. Like there's some fans who are saying, oh, their team that's 6 games out is going to go on a massive run and make the World Series. And then there's some teams that are 6 games up. We're out of it. We're missing the playoffs altogether. So it's funny to see the difference of how some fans think. But we're going to start with what I think is a banger, but it's also, I think, a mild take. Number one, I would put my life savings on the Dodgers, not only losing the World Series, but not even getting there. That
Oh,
comes from Aiden underscore Herfurth, Herfurth on Instagram. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Yeah, I'll throw it over to you first. I know I definitely have some words, but go ahead.
yeah, it's mild. Just because you got the field, I get it that, this is a team that's getting healthy and has a force at the top of that lineup and just all the way through now. I mean, it's as balanced as it looks. Gavin Lux is all of a sudden starting to swing it. You're seeing the pitching reinforcements, at least relatively speaking, come back. Uh, that said, I mean, I'm going to take the field. The field, you'd be doing quite well aside from the 2020 season if you just took the field. I understand that he's saying not even make the World Series, so that part does make it interesting. But the two I think biggest threats are 2 teams in the division that can be very tough for him as well. And I think between the D-backs and the Padres, like it's going to be tough to get through those teams as well. And then we're not even talking about the Phillies. So I don't think it's a hot take. I'll go mild. I'll go. That's very mild.
I agree it's mild too. And any rational fan, I assume even Dodger fans would say, would you take the Dodgers to win the World Series or everybody else? Yeah, that's not a very hot take. And to not get there, again, I think that Dodgers fans and all baseball fans understand that you're probably going to take the field, especially in a format like Major League Baseball, where if you get hot, you can make the World Series. That's why the Diamondbacks took on the Texas Rangers last year. But
BetMGM has the Dodgers at plus 160 to win the NL pennant. So
exactly, which is around a 40% chance. And they are definitely the leader. And in terms of World Series odds, they are also definitely the leader and a good chunk above second place Philly and third place Yankees. Like those are the teams right there. They're not just favorites, they are decently sized favorites. And I think I know why BetMGM continues to hang their hat on the Dodgers. Of course, you got Shohei Ohtani. You spend $1 billion in an offseason. You're arguably baseball's most popular team, but it's not like they are running away with the best record in Major League Baseball. And again, I look at their lineup from last night. It was, I think, maybe the first time that the Dodgers have had a truly healthy lineup on top of some of their deadline acquisitions. You got Shohei Ohtani leading off. You got Mookie Betts hitting second. You got Freddie Freeman hitting third. Teoscar Hernandez, Gavin Lux, Will Smith, Max Muncy, Miguel Rojas, and Tommy Edman. And that's coming off Gavin Stone throwing 7 innings of 2-hit ball, no runs, 10 strikeouts. That changeup was otherworldly. So you can
life
doubt
savings too. He said life savings.
life
So
savings. I would not put my life savings on
no, I
this
definitely would not.
because I think the Dodgers, they get, kind of thrown out of these conversations. Well, you couldn't beat, the Diamondbacks last year, or, you choked in another series. They won in 2020. It's not as if this team is continual choke artists year in and year out. And I don't want to hear about some sort of Mickey Mouse World Series. I don't want to
you'll hear
hear
that from
about the
me.
bubble. I know. I don't want to hear any of that because it's just incorrect.
You'll hear from me.
It's I think it's so dumb because all of the teams knew the rules at the same time. They're all in
Correct.
the same atmosphere. And I know it's a 60-game season, but when you get to the playoffs, we know that any team can win, and they literally won. So I don't think it's fair. I can understand if you don't think that World Series has quite the amount of allure of a normal season, but to discount it entirely, I think is stupid.
I wouldn't say entirely. I think the playoff series aspect definitely is the most like valid aspect of it. The regular season for me is a total wash. Like you got the home run leader and the Cy Young winner playing in Mexico right now. The MVP in the American League is not in affiliated baseball right now. Like it's wild.
I totally get that. The regular season, I agree, but in that regular season, let's say they played a full 162 games. You think the Dodgers weren't making the playoffs?
Yeah, of course. And
Of course they
again,
were.
they played well in the playoffs. They closed it out. You know, I don't think they're all like quaking in their boots when there's a full stadium of opposing fans. Like that wasn't the difference. So I agree with that. Like I'm not putting my life savings against the Dodgers, and I think that narrative is a little bit overblown. I just think that statistically speaking, it's very hard to do. And I do think that Dave Roberts, did kind of overmanage at times, put them in tough spots. I think he's much better now, and I think that they're going to be fine. I wouldn't put my life savings against them not making the World Series. That's freaking crazy, especially
And
with how vulnerable the Phillies have started to look of late and how much stronger the Dodgers are getting. Of course, I'm taking the field. I'm still putting it at mild, but the life savings part, I guess you could say it's medium or high just because of the willingness to risk. But the take itself is mild.
here's the cherry on top of it. You could say, well, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman last year's playoffs, they totally dried up, and they were not the two guys that the Dodgers pay a ton of money to get it done in the big moments.
Didn't have
Okay.
Ohtani.
Now they got Ohtani. Now they got World Baseball Classic MVP Ohtani, who beat the United States of America. And now I know he was on the mound. We also saw him at the plate too.
Yep.
In the big moments, Ohtani's going to get there. You want to go against that guy? I don't.
I don't.
Not at all. And now you could point to some of the pitching in the starting rotation, especially with guys banged up. I get it. When Tyler Glasnow comes back and Kershaw is still pitching like this, he's got a fresh arm right now.
He looks good.
And if they can find one more arm in this rotation to really stick, that bullpen is very good too. I'm just saying, don't be the guy who just, the Dodgers, they choked last year. They choked the year before. They're definitely out of it. That team didn't have Shohei Ohtani. And I'm not doubting a team with Shohei Ohtani. All right, let's get to mild take, at least I think number 2. And this is more of a testament to this player, and that's why I think it's mild. Michael King hits 180 innings and finishes with an ERA under 3, finishing top 5 in Cy Young voting. Asked by Kyle Stelter, 78 on Twitter. Let me run you through the numbers that Michael King currently has right now. He's got a 3.18 ERA, a 3.32 fielding independent pitching, FIP, 167 Ks in 141 innings. So if he makes about 7 more starts at about 5 to 6 innings, it's around 40 more innings. He'll be about 180. Do you think he can get that ERA under 3 and finish top 5 in Cy Young voting? Because I'm looking at the rest of the top 5. Like Sale is going to be in there. Wheeler is going to be in there. I think Cease is going to be in there, but I'm not totally sure. Hunter Green just went down with an injury, so you'd expect him to fall a little bit. Skeens might get shut down. And even if he doesn't, is he going to finish top 5 in Cy Young voting? I'm not sold on that. Then you're getting into guys like Shota Imanaga, Michael King. And Michael King's been as good as any pitcher in the National League this season. 3.18 in 141 innings? I think it's very, very possible.
You got Logan Webb, I think, has the edge.
True.
I like the take because now with Green hurt, he's stagnant at a 2.83. King is going to blow past his innings number, assuming he's healthy.
And I'm throwing Cease into that conversation when King has the better ERA than Cease does. And maybe King finishes above Cease.
Well, the interesting thing is, like, has Cease really been better than King, like, at all? Really? Like, if you look at it from...
Not really.
They've thrown Cease has thrown 7 more innings. Yeah, he's struck out slightly more, but it's not like King's not striking anybody out. He's striking out 10.6 per 9. I know I prefer percentages, don't have it in front of me at the moment. A 3.18 ERA versus a 3.46, pretty big difference. I like this take because it just would never have crossed my mind, to be honest. But I think it's mild. I actually think it's just a good take.
Me too.
I just think it's a good take. Like, he's throwing well. He's not really slowing down. He has, you have the other factors where, Imanaga, he's been better, but his numbers are still really weighed like because of how dominant he was out of the gate. So we'll see how he finishes. And he's also still, another 8 innings behind him. So we'll see if King can create some more inning separation. And then you've got Hunter Green on the shelf. So I think he does grab that spot, to be honest. I think he does finish top 5.
Pretty
So I'll go
incredible
very
too.
mild. I think that's even more mild than the Dodgers one.
I agree. I think
Good
it's
take.
the best take that we have
Yeah.
in this so far. And I also just think it's funny that this guy was traded for Juan Soto. Like, of course, there was plenty of other prospects in that package, but the Padres ID'd Michael King as a real big time starting pitcher. And the Yankees knew that. That's why he was arguably the best player traded in this deal. Of course, you got Drew Thorpe as well, but I'd rather have Michael King than Drew Thorpe.
Yeah. And they end up turning Thorpe into, a half of what got them Dylan Cease. So the Soto trade, is going to go down as, definitely not a good one for them in terms of what they gave up and then what they got out of him. But the fact that, they were able to pivot and get a rotation piece and then another really potentially top 10 starter in baseball this year, and then get another guy that's right in that conversation with, I'd say the centerpiece was probably Thorpe in that deal to go get Cease. Like they did a pretty good job of making the best out of out of a mistake there in AJ Preller. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a good take. Like I expect it to happen. Honestly, I think it's more likely than not.
And that's why I'm so excited for the Padres come playoff time. Like, we see how good this bullpen is. They might get Tatis back in this lineup. Like, I haven't heard anything. And let's say they just don't. Let's say Tatis never returns. I still love this Padres lineup. And then when you can roll out a front three of Cease, King, and Musgrove, who's looked better since returning from injury, with Musgrove's pedigree already in the playoffs, I'm very, very excited for Padres
So
baseball come October.
I'm with you. This was as of August 16th from Mike Schilt. Tatis has been going through some baseball activity, including long toss, taking those next steps to his recovery. Schilt did not divulge in a timetable, but they
That's
seem more optimistic that he's ahead of schedule and anticipates a very speedy progress. So they think he's going to be able to get back this season. They have
Don't you
hope
think
that
that's kind of a big bucket of nothing?
yes, but Schilt confirmed that there's hope for
Okay.
Tatis to return this season. You take that. I think
Yeah.
the initial expectation was maybe not at all. So it is a kind of a bucket of nothing, but he is doing baseball activities, whatever that mean. Like I always wonder what are those exact activities. But like I could just pick up a baseball and drop it, and that's a baseball activity, I guess. But still, good news. Regardless, I agree. I like them regardless, and man, that would be a huge jolt though to add him to the fold.
Playing wiffle ball?
Yeah, he might just be sitting on the dirt. I don't know. I don't know what qualifies as a baseball activity.
Maybe.
Sixto's been doing baseball activities for 4 years. I don't know what they are.
Do you think Tatis is talking to Tristan Casas, about just mental swings,
I
baseball
don't
activity?
think I don't think those guys are very like-minded.
All right. Let's go to our last mild take. The Brewers end up being the #1 seed in the National League. Comes to us from Sawsum2983 on Twitter. So the Brewers have, in terms of their strength of schedule, the teams that they face moving forward, under 500, a 499 combined winning percentage. And the Milwaukee Brewers, as we sit here on Tuesday, August 20th, have the best run differential in the National League. I can't keep myself from smiling ear to ear about the Brewers because it destroys our template for what a really good baseball team is. You need top flight starting pitching, you need a great bullpen, and you need a lineup that normally hits more home runs than other teams. This team doesn't really do that. You look at their starting rotation, and it's a bunch of guys that you really haven't heard of outside of Freddie Peralta, who has not been the ace of this team this year. You look at the bullpen, and you haven't heard of most of these guys outside of Devin Williams, who they haven't had for most of the year, and they have been otherworldly dominant. Christian Yelich is now out for the rest of the season, and this team has not skipped a beat, winning 7 of their last 10 games. Kind of similar to the Michael King take. I think this is just a good take. I think they will. I mean, the Dodgers now with this healthy lineup are scary as shit. The Phillies have also not been playing good baseball. And at some point when they get hot, they go on these streaks where nobody can beat them anytime, anywhere. I'm jumping on board with this take. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's a good. I think medium's a good label for it because you still
Not
have,
mild.
or you put mild.
I put it as a mild take because we're gonna get to the medium takes and you're gonna be like, oh well, that's why it's not
I
me.
guess it's mild considering that they're only 2 games back from that top spot. But
Exactly.
you could also say that there's 4 other teams that are very good, or 3 other teams that are very good that are also 2 to 3 games outside of that spot. I'll say it's a stronger mild though than the other ones because this is coming right after you find out that Yelich, who is performing like an all-star, and having one of his best years he's had since the MVP stretches, is out for the season. So, and it's also just the fact that their best starting pitcher is Tobias Myers, statistically speaking. Uh, they have a stable man in
Wait a
Nashville as
minute. Wait a
well.
minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Are we talking down on Tobias Myers right now? The guy with an ERA below 3?
I think if Tobias Myers is your best starting pitcher from a statistical standpoint, it is a very bold take to say that that team is going to have the best record in the National League.
I almost think it's a bad take to say that they're not. Depending on how good he's been. Colin Ray, ever heard of him?
Yeah, recently.
Aaron
No,
Savali,
Colin Ray,
6
dude.
shutout.
You know how I heard of Colin Ray? Colin Ray was traded to the Marlins, and this is one of the funniest things ever. So Colin Ray was traded to the Marlins in that Luis Castillo deal, and he this is one I have one of my like most vivid memories of texting my dad about this and just being like, this is so classic. So he's traded with Andrew Kashner and Tayron Guerrero. The Marlins sent out Luis Castillo, Jared Cozart, Josh Naylor, and Carter Capps. What a terrible trade. Um, Colin Ray comes over, throws 2 innings, gets hurt. The Marlins somehow are able to return Colin Ray. So because it was like they
I'm
like
back.
they somehow got like kept the receipt, returned Colin Ray, and as a result, they get Luis Castillo back. So like they get a mulligan, right? This is the same Luis Castillo that pitches for the Mariners right now. So because of Ray's injury and the fact that they didn't properly disclose it, they get it. They get Luis Castillo back. You get a mulligan on what would end up being a terrible trade, just for the Marlins to later pivot and move Luis Castillo in another deal for, I believe it was Dan Straley. So
Oh,
the Marlins traded, David Sampson traded Luis Castillo twice. Once for Andrew Kashner, and then another time for Dan Straley. But I just remember Colin Ray because he threw like 2 innings for the Marlins, got hurt, and then they returned him. Like they kept the receipt.
to be fair, I liked Andrew Kashner, but I'm just thinking about like Colin Ray was a legitimate Christmas present. He didn't he was like a shirt that didn't fit. They
Yeah,
returned him and
they
then got
returned
Luis
him.
Castillo back. You
And
got
he got
another
Luis Castillo
chance. You got
back.
another chance and you blew it again.
You traded him for Dan Straley. Like, dude, what?
That's like the Dodgers. You know the Josh Fields for Yordan Alvarez trade?
Yes,
It's like they returned him because Josh Fields was injured and then they traded him again to somewhere else for nothing.
legit. Another Josh Fields. You can't make it up. I remember telling my dad, like, oh, this, like when Ray came out, I'm like, oh my gosh, he got hurt immediately. He's like, of course he did. And I'm like, the next day, that's like story kind of comes out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're gonna get Castillo back. Like he's good. They're gonna get a mulligan on this deal. And then they traded him again. I'm like, all right, this guy's a lock to be a superstar. And sure enough, he turned out to be quite the good starter.
I think that's the funniest series of events I've ever heard about the Marlins before. And you've gone through some unbelievable ones that I never even heard of before. Like the
No,
Yelich trade is unbelievable. Like those guys are playing like different sports now. They're not even in
one's coaching
professional
in high
baseball.
school. Monte
Yeah,
Harrison caught a touchdown the other day
like
in
that's
practice
I cannot believe they got another chance at Luis Castillo and traded him away again.
for Dan
I
Straley.
I can't believe that.
It's you just can't make it
Colin
up.
Ray's 34 with a mid threes ERA, dicing up everybody.
My favorite still to this day is them firing their manager and then bringing down the assistant GM to manage the rest of the season. Like that was the number one weirdest thing of all time. The whole team thought it was a joke. I'm pretty sure I forget which player it was. Maybe Jeff Baker pulled up to the clubhouse with clown noses for everybody because they called it a circus. Like you can't make stuff up with this team, man.
By the way, we are 5 losses away from hitting the biggest bet ever on the Miami Marlins under win total.
You're on the right side, man.
We're on the right side. All right, let's go into some of the medium takes. and you'll see how I separate them. But you think overall those are
I
mine.
thought those were all mild. I concur.
And we'll get into the medium takes right now. Number one, Austin Wells continues his hot hitting through the end of the year and wins Rookie of the Year over Colton Cowser. Asked by Ryan Brody 14 on Twitter or X, whatever. So BetMGM, they have the odds laid out. They have Colton Cowser as a minus 275 favorite. And the implied probability, so they think Colton Cowser has a 73% chance of winning the American League Rookie of the Year compared to Austin Wells, who is at plus 450. He's the second favorite at plus 450, which is an implied probability of 18%. Austin Wells this season in 85 games has 9 home runs. He's slashing 252, 343, 417 for a 760 OPS, a 116 WRC plus, and a 2.9 FWAR. Colton Cowser on the other side has played 118 games, so about 25, 30 more. He's got double the amount of home runs at 18, lower batting average though, 20 points lower of OBP, higher slug, 4-point difference in OPS, 1-point difference in WRC plus, and 0.2 FWAR difference. But BetMGM is kind of staking a claim here that even the numbers are very close. They still think Colton Cowser should be a decently sized favorite here. What's your read on this one? Because, of course, me, the Yankee fan, like, I see it. I see Austin Wells, the quality of contact starting to fall. I see how good he is offensively. But what has been just a godsend is the defense. I remember talking about Austin Wells with you off camera, off the podcast, and I was worried about Austin Wells. You ranked him pretty high. I just said, dude, can he really play defense? Like, I never
All
had
valid
any
questions.
worries about.
We were the only other ones I think that had him on the top 100. I think it was us in Baseball America, but I don't think Pipeline or Prospectus had him.
I never heard anything good about the defense, and they were potentially moving him to first base. I think he played a couple of games in the outfield, and I was like, how good of a prospect is he if he is locked into first base or outfield and not catching? And you stood your ground. You said that you thought he could catch. And I said, you know what? What am I going to do? Doubt Aram and doubt a Yankee? I'll just believe him. And you have been right every step of the way with this guy. So now that you've been right every step of the way, but you're also high on Colton Cowser. So then what are you going to do now?
I will say relative to I don't know. I always love Cowser too. We had him on there early, like high. I appreciate that too. Cause like I was really, the only concern I had was like, I think I knew he was going to hit. It's just, I thought he could catch enough, but it was like, okay, well, if he's not an above average catcher, now there's a lot more pressure on the bat. He's got to really hit. And I thought he'd just be an above average bat and like a slightly above average catcher. And then you combine those two things and you got 3 WAR. And he's done exactly that. But to your point, like he has turned into a different hitter of late too. I think most of that's just been the balls falling, but also getting comfortable getting into the pull side power. Last 30 games, he's 877 OPS. The problem is, I think cumulatively, voters want to just see who made the larger impact. That's why position players always take it over the pitchers. And, we're going to have a situation here where Cowser's played what? He's going to end up playing another like 30 games than him.
Yeah.
And you look at the total home runs, Cowser might be the only rookie. There's a legit chance that Cowser's the only rookie with 20 plus homers. That also I think will stand out.
I think I think Merrill's going to end up with 20.
I do think Merrill's going to get there too, but
yeah.
At least the only American League rookie with 20 plus homers, unless
Wells only having 9 is tough.
That's the one thing with the short porch and right that might work against him. I think what Wells has had to do is way more difficult. And Agreed. I think it's the more impressive rookie season. He's the starting catcher for the New York Yankees, who are in first place. Whereas Cowser has been an outfielder, for a very loaded lineup. And I think at points, Wells has been the third best hitter in the lineup, right? Like, so
no, he has been the third best hitter in the Yankees lineup for the last
my vote, assuming that Wells continues, and if he had slightly better offensive numbers, I would vote for Wells because of the catcher defense and things like that. But I think that the odds really are baked into the precedent of what we're used to here, which is surface level numbers and total games played. Cowser's just going to have the edge. So I think it's a solid medium take, but I'm skewed here because I personally think Wells has been the more impressive player, especially if you really look at how brutal the batted ball luck is and now how it's going the other way. I also think like if he does really separate himself the rest of the way here, though, he could do it. He could like voters are going to value the positional aspect of things. It is important to note though that Cowser has filled in center now all of a sudden and has played
He's a good defender.
some decent games there. They haven't played him as much there and they haven't needed him there, but there was spurts where he was filling in center, and I think that was pretty important. And it's not like Cowser's fallen off a cliff either. His last 30 games, he's slashing 300, 361, 492.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to say that's a medium hot take. I still think what Wells has done is more impressive, but that doesn't always mean that he's the rookie of the year. And I think Cowser, he's going to play 140 something games. Like he's probably the rookie of the year.
And this is why I love this episode so far, because these aren't dumb hot takes. These are
Mm-mm.
good hot takes. Like they're hot, but they are good takes. Austin Wells, you look at the numbers, he's 0.2 F4 behind. WRC plus, he's 116 to 117. In terms of the slash line, they're very not that different. And that's why you see an OPS for Cowser at 764 and you see Austin Wells at 760. But Cowser's defense, right? If we're talking about how good Austin Wells has been behind the plate, Austin Wells has been a more valuable defender than Colton Cowser, but that does not mean that Colton Cowser is some lousy defender or anything. He's been very solid too. And the amount of home runs that he's going to hit, he's probably going to have over 20. Well, Wells will probably have 11, 12, 30 more games, because we're also talking about we got about 35 to 40 games left, kind of depending on where your team is at right now. Austin Wells is not going to play every single one of those games. Well, there's a high likelihood that Colton Cowser at least plays most of them.
Yeah.
So that the difference in games played from 118 to 85, I think that gap is only going to get larger, and it's just he's going to win the accumulation battle. But the reason I love this take is in the games that Austin Wells has played in, like if you shorten, even though this is a stupid hypothetical, but let's say you took Colton Cowser's 85 games, you give him his best 85 games. Austin Wells, you could argue, might be more valuable in his 85 games so far.
As a catcher, yeah, I think so. But again, like you're looking at like the stats and the production. Like Cowser has just been the more productive player. So yeah, I think he's going to take it. He's probably going to steal like 12, 15 bags as well. Like he's just been solid across the board. A lot of really good rookies this year, though, man. It's been fun to watch. But yeah, I think the odds are pretty spot on with MGM there. Like I think it's pretty much reflects the probability.
The only way I could see Austin Wells winning is if he goes on an absolute tear.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say, and then Colton Cowser falls off a cliff. I don't think he's going to. Like, let's be realistic.
Especially we just talked about his last 30 games.
Exactly.
300.
He might be even getting better. But let's say he maintains this level of stats. Let's say his slash line, which is 245, 323, 441. Let's say he does that for the rest of the year, which is fine. Let's say he does that. And Austin Wells goes ballistic. Let's say the numbers are very close at the end. If the Yankees win the division, and you also have there's some familiarity because Gunnar Henderson just won. Maybe the voters might say, let's give it to a guy on a different team. That's the only real.
There's always going to be a little bit of New York bias too in voting.
Exactly.
There's going to be in the media. Like so many of these people who have votes are coming out of New York.
Like, where John Heyman's vote's going.
Yeah. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
No, I think it's valid. I think it's Cowser's to lose for sure. But like, dude, you have a 146 WRC plus from Austin Wells over his last like 20 games, and he's catching as well. If they come in first, like there could be enough there. It's Cowser right now, but there's enough time.
And I think it's perfectly slot into medium because BetMGM literally has 73 versus 18%.
Yeah.
It's medium take because some of these are 95-5.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get into the second medium take. The Cubs get hot and make the playoffs due to the easy schedule they have. It was asked by Matt_Scarpelli on Instagram. He's right. The Cubs, in terms of winning percentage of opponents left, 477. That is the fourth easiest schedule moving forward. They got 3 against the Rockies, 3 against the Marlins, 3 against the A's, 7 against the Nationals, 6 against the Pirates, 3 against the Tigers. They are just 5.5 games out of the wild card. They are 61-64 with a +4 run differential. They've, again, won 6 of their last 10 games. I think this is borderline hot, and I'll tell you why. Just because they have an easy schedule, what makes you guys think that you can beat those easy teams. The Chicago Cubs are 35-40 against teams over 500. So that makes them 2 games over 500 against teams that are under 500. Why do you now think just because it's right in front of you that you're going to are you going to go sweep the A's? The A's are playing some pretty good baseball right now. Are you going to go beat the Nationals? Are you way better than these teams? You just DFA'd Hector Neris.
Yeah, who's closing these games out?
Who I don't understand who's going to be in the back end of that bullpen. And if Steele and Shota aren't dominating, like Tyon's fine, but then you get to the back end. It's not like the offense is doing much. They're better than terrible, which they were. I think this is a pretty hot take because I think they're out of it.
Like, I like it. I like it. It's valid. Like it's valid.
It.
Like there's reasoning to it, right? Because you have the Braves who like now I know they've won 2 in a row, but they lose Austin Riley. You could say that they're vulnerable.
But the Braves are way better.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, the Braves are way better.
I'm just saying if you want to be a hot take, if you want to be a little spicy here, like I could see the reasoning. Easy schedule. They didn't have Isaac Paredes for the whole season. Now they have him.
Well, he just got hurt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You hope he can get back. I don't know what the timeline is there. I don't believe in the Giants. Don't believe in the Cardinals, and the Mets are the Mets. So like,
okay, I think the Giants are better than the Cubs.
I don't disagree, but for a hot take,
yeah,
it's not that unfathomable because the Braves are vulnerable, still way better, vulnerable. And then I don't believe in the Cardinals, and I will never believe in the Giants until Farhan Zaidi's gone. And then the Mets are the Mets. So I think no chance, legitimately no chance. But I can hear the reasoning that will makes it to me borderline. I think it's medium, but borderline hot. It's right on the edge of hot, but it's not crazy to me.
It's not crazy to me, and that's why it's in the medium. It's not in the hot because it's not
high medium.
Of course, they are still. I don't understand why just because they have an easy schedule and you have not proven all season long that you could beat teams that are under 500, and in a division littered with teams that are under 500, you have not been able to take that next step. Like even a team like the Reds. The Cincinnati Reds have a plus 33 run differential. They have the same record. I know Hunter Green went down, but I think I have more confidence in them moving forward.
Well, and I feel like that team's dead too. So like they're in the same spot, and I've felt like I've forgotten about the Reds from like a make the playoffs perspective. Like I've just already kind of looked at next year for them. So yeah, it's high medium for me, but because of just the lack of talent, I think, or just the lack of like impact ahead of them. Like I could see them closing some ground, but I just don't think they're going to win enough games. They're just too flawed, especially with that bullpen. They can't hold enough leads. I don't think. And they also have to hit. So it's like one or the other. There's too many ways that they can lose, in my opinion.
And for a team to get really hot, right? We're going to talk about the Mariners later in the would you rather question, but if I'm looking for a team to get hot, I need to know that one player on your team can lead an offense by himself. Like when I look at the Cincinnati Reds, if Ellie De La Cruz starts going nuclear, he could lead an offense by himself because as soon as he gets to first base, he can get to third base, and then maybe he can even steal home, and that's not even mentioning all the home runs that he could hit. Who on the Cubs is going to stand on his head and lead this offense? It's going to have to be the entire unit, and that's putting a lot of faith in the entire unit of the Chicago Cubs. Like, are you saying Seiya Suzuki is going to go what does nuclear for Seiya Suzuki look like?
That's the one guy that like might be able to stretch that together. Paredes, I think it's a minor injury. Like him coming back could help, but yeah, I mean they need multiple guys to get hot at the same time.
But even Paredes, since he's been on the Cubs, has not been any good at all.
Yeah, I mean who knows if that shoulder, what it's been, but I'm with you. Like he's not carrying them. So I think it's a high medium take, or almost hot, but high medium.
And I don't mean to keep piling on, but I think the Mets are better. Well, first of all, I think the Padres, Diamondbacks, and Braves are definitely way better. I think the Mets are better. I think the Giants are better. I think the Cardinals are better, and I think the Reds are better. And I think
the Cardinals are better at this point.
You don't think the Cardinals are better? I like the Cardinals lineup better. I think I like their starting rotation a little bit more, or at least on par, and I like their bullpen better.
I can't stand the Cardinals team right now, but it's close. No, regardless, it's an uphill battle.
It is an uphill battle. All right, let's go to hot take or medium take number 3. The Atlanta Braves have a losing record after 162. This was asked by dude_Matt on Instagram. So as we sit here today, the Braves are 66-58 with 38 games left in their season. They would have to go 14-24 the rest of the way to finish 80-82. In terms of the combined winning percentage of the teams that they are facing left, 505. So not really all that tough. You got 3 against the Rockies at home. You got 3 against the Marlins. You got 5 against the Nats. You got 3 against the Blue Jays and 4 against the Reds. So in terms of teams that are under 500, right, the Reds are not an easy series. The Blue Jays are not an easy series, and the Nationals are not an easy series. But to go 14-24, I almost feel like we sometimes do this with takes. It's like we have a take and then it goes too far. With the Braves, Austin Riley goes down. Acuna's been out. Albies has been out. Sean Murphy's been out for an extended period of time. Of course, you lose Strider. You've lost a couple of key relievers, and this is over the entirety of the season, including Michael Harris as well. And I know Austin Riley just got hurt, so it looks really grim. But Michael Harris is now back.
Mm-hmm.
You did add Jorge Soler, and I might have been wrong on this one. I thought it was a nothing move, but he apparently can play outfield, or at least he can for the remainder of the season. We'll see how well that works. It's working right now, so I'll bite my tongue on that one. But Reynaldo Lopez missed a couple of starts due to forearm tightness, but he is now back into that rotation. Schwellenbach has really stepped up and has been a really good young pitcher as well. And of course, you got Chris Sale. And of course, you got Max Fried. And you got one of the best bullpens in baseball. I know it hasn't been good, but we got to relax here. They're not going 14-24 the rest of the way. I still think they're going to make the playoffs, and they're still not a team that, if Riley can return in time, where his timetable kind of lines up where he might be able to return by maybe an NLDS, right? If he returns on that 6-week timetable, that's about when the season is going to end. Is Albies going to come back this year?
I don't know. I don't know what the latest is on the Albies.
So, but overall, Acuna's not going to be back this year, obviously. But like, this is a team that I think now that everybody has done away with, including some Braves fans, this is the time where guys like me, whether smart or stupid, I don't know, might try to buy in. So no, I think this take is way overblown, but the reason I included it is, if we're talking about all the comments that were left for us, like on Instagram and on Twitter, man, Braves fans are negative. Like, holy shit. I mean, it's like the season is over.
The staff's too good. We just talked about it. Like, I don't think that I think they're going to limp and it's going to be a tough playoffs for them. But when you have that pitching staff and you still have a guy in Marcell Ozuna is one of the best mashers in the sport. Like you said, you added Soler. Mike Harris being back makes a huge difference on multiple fronts. And look, I don't think he's good, but at least they were able to go sign a vet like Gio Urshela to plug in and just not totally suck. Versus like a Luke Williams or something that would be playing there more frequently.
Or Nacho Alvarez.
They still have, he's just not ready. They still have Matt Olson. They still have Marcell Ozuna. You still have Sean Murphy that you hope can start to heat up as he gets healthy. But it's mostly about the rotation. I just don't see Chris Sale, Reynaldo Lopez, Max Fried, Spencer Schwellenbach, and Charlie Morton going 14-24 against the teams that they're going to be facing. Your worst pitcher is Charlie Morton, who still gives you a chance to win most times he's out there. It's a 4.29 ERA. He's fine. And then that bullpen, as we said, I think this is a hot take. I think this is actually like pretty piping hot because even with how ugly things are, I just can't see this team being that bad. Like, Waldrip is also looking better again, and he's healthy. Smith-Shawver could get thrown into that bullpen if they wanted to. They have Drake Baldwin, who I think he's a top 100 guy for us. I think he rakes if they wanted to just bring another bat up and try to spark something here. Or if Sean Murphy's just continuing to struggle. Like, they can find ways to get Travis d'Arnaud in the lineup more. Like, there's still enough irons in the fire here. They ain't going 14-24. As much as I think it's ugly and this is not a year for them to make a run at all, they ain't hitting a wall like that.
This is close to a burning hot take, but we
I
have
agree.
3 more takes in the hot section where you say, well, I understood why Peter put that medium, or maybe you will disagree. And then, of course, we have a would you rather question. But before that, let's take our last break. The hot takes. Now, these are hot. They are interesting. They are crazy, but they are fun. And then we'll end with the would you rather. So the 3 hot takes, we're going to start at the top. The Guardians missed the playoffs. And in parentheses, I'm a fan. We suck. This is asked by Anders Picks. My guy, the Red Sox, though, are 65 and 59. The Guardians are 72 and 52. Now, I know that the Guardians offense has really fallen short lately, especially against right-handed pitching. You needed starting pitching reinforcements. And while Gavin Williams and Tanner Bybee have certainly stepped up, Alex Cobb, the guy that they acquired, just hit the IL. I know that the rotation doesn't look very good. I know it's been very bleak over the last, I would say month, really post All-Star break. It hasn't looked exactly like the same Guardians team, but this is the lull. All teams go through it. And I think that's what they're going through right now. To see them falling back 7 games in just a month and a week and a half, like, that is absurd.
It'd be the worst collapse since like the Mets in 07. Like,
yeah, it's just, I could definitely hear an argument for the Royals winning this division or the Twins winning this division. The Guardians have 72 wins. The Royals and the Twins are right behind them. Again, we're recording on Tuesday, August 20th. Right behind them in terms of wins. I could see that. But then look at the wild card. Like, are the Red Sox going to go on this amazing heater where they're just right now blowing games against the Astros? Like, their starting pitching doesn't look great either. Their offense has been great, but the Cleveland Guardians have the best bullpen in Major League Baseball. That's why they can hedge some of these starting pitching concerns. So when the offense just starts getting going again, they're going right back to that team that took the league by storm through most of the season already. So I think they're going through their lull right now. I understand the offense when the Guardians aren't hitting, that team looks like trash. I'll admit it. Like they don't look good because you see someone starting on the mound with that offense and they're already down. You say you have no shot in this game. So I get it. But we also can't forget April through July where this team was the best team in baseball. So I think this is an outrageous take.
They just swept the Cubs at home. And then, you got outclassed by the Brewers. It wasn't like they got destroyed. It was in Milwaukee. The bullpen did their job, and they lost 5-3, 2-1, 2-0. Like, you got beat by a team that literally does what you do. And that happens sometimes. Lane Thomas has not been very productive since going over there, but I think you can pick it up a little bit. This is piping hot. They'd have to legitimately be the worst team, I think, in baseball down the stretch for that to happen. They're going to play a really, really struggling Pirates team. They're going to play the White Sox 3 more times still. The rest of the schedule can be tough. They got the Dodgers and they've got the Rays, the Twins. Like, I do think that they could easily relinquish the division because they have like 7 more games against the Royals. But there's no way that the Red Sox are catching them. I just don't see that happening.
So bringing it back to our medium takes, I think it's more likely that the Braves go under 500 than the Guardians missing the playoffs.
I agree with that. And I already thought that was hot.
That's asinine.
This is like a 9.5 out of 10.
That's why I said you're trying to put these takes in the hot region. We got 2 more. We got 2 more here, Arm.
That one's hot. That one's very hot.
That one's hot. Next one. Francisco Lindor wins his first MVP following Ketel Marte's injury and Shohei Ohtani slowing down. That was asked by Andrew Glav on Instagram.
For a hot take, I fuck with it.
I like it. I like it, but let's go to our friends at BetMGM and let's see what they think. Shohei Ohtani is minus 5,000 to win the MVP. The implied probability of that, 98%. And the reason why it's, again, an insanely hot take is Lindor ain't number 2. Marcell Ozuna of the Braves is number 2 at plus 1,600. And BetMGM, that's a 5.8% chance of winning it. And in third place, actually tied for third now with Ketel Marte, is Francisco Lindor at plus 5,000. He has a 1.96% chance of winning the MVP. I just broke down the odds. It's not going to happen. But I also feel like, and when we post Ohtani stuff, like there are a big majority of fans who just straight up don't think he deserves it at all because he's not playing in the field. They're just like, how can it be him? Look at the F4. Ketel Marte is right up there. Lindor is right up there. Ellie De La Cruz is right up there. Ladies and gentlemen, Shohei Ohtani is probably going to go 50-50. He's got 39 home runs and 37 stolen bases while hitting close to 300.
He's definitely going 40-40, which
he'll go 40-40 by the end of the month.
Yeah.
He'll go 40-40 by the end of the week.
So, I mean, 40-40 too, like we saw what Acuna did last year. It's like, okay, so we're going to reward Acuna. Like the DH argument, I get it from like, if we're comparing two players with similar numbers, I get it. But like Acuna won it. He's just sucking in right field. So like, how is that any better than DHing, being bad in right?
Can I quickly interject? We're talking about it's important to have Lindor, right? He's so good at shortstop. The F4 is so high. Ask yourself, would you rather have Ohtani or Lindor?
Stop. Well, Ohtani, who can only DH, or Lindor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take Ohtani.
It's not that close for me.
No, I mean,
people just, the gambling stuff really hurt Ohtani's credibility. The DH stuff hurts his credibility. Being on the Dodgers, a lot of people hate them. And I understand they spend the most money now. They're almost kind of the National League New York Yankees. I understand not liking Shohei Ohtani. But damn it, as a baseball fan, get past that for a second. We're talking about 39 home runs, 37 stolen bases while hitting 300 with a 170 WRC+. This is one of the better offensive seasons we've seen in the 21st century.
Yep.
50 home runs, 50 stolen bases is not a hot take. He could hit 10 home runs in the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely going to steal 13 more bases in the next 6 weeks, unless they tell him to stop stealing just to make sure that he's healthy. He can steal bases anytime he wants. He's second in all of Major League Baseball in stolen bases to Ellie De La Cruz. Second. And he's second in home runs, too. I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, this is one of the better offensive seasons. And yes, he's a DH. Get over it. The fact that he has the same F4 as Lindor or Marte or Ellie De La Cruz, all playing positions, all playing them well, and he's still right there. That goes to show you the level of impact. And I love defense. But come on. Who would you rather have? It's Ohtani, and it ain't that close. And that's BetMGM is right there saying it.
If Lindor goes like 30-30 and goes crazy the rest of the way and gets to 8-7 WAR and he edges out Ohtani from a WAR perspective, I still don't see how. Like, we don't see 40-40. I know we just saw one, so we're a little spoiled, but like, remember, we hadn't seen one before that since what, 2006, Alfonso Soriano. So like, I mean, this is super rare to see. I think it's, I get the angle of, hey, this guy's playing every day, he's playing defense and all that stuff. But this is, like you said, it's one of the best offensive seasons we've seen in a very, very, very long time. But I as it pertains to like crazy hot takes, which is where we're at right now, like I don't mind it. Like because they're the same F4. I think that by the end of the year, with the way that Lindor's been swinging it lately, like he could end up edging him out. But the fact that we're having that conversation with Lindor playing shortstop every day and Ohtani only being able to wield a bat, I think shows you how valuable he has been in that role and as a hitter. It's just ridiculous. And it's an offensive award. It really always has been and always will be. It's an offensive award.
And the people that, make markets for everybody in the world to make predictions is telling you that Marcelo Zuna has a 5x chance based on 1.9% to 5.8, whatever that number is,
offensive
to even
award.
beat Lindor. Like, it's an offensive award, people. And I'm also like, Lindor, yes, the F4 is really, really high. He's got 25 home runs, 24 steals, or he's right there, whatever. He's been so good. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I'm not trying to take away anything from Ketel Marte. But Lindor's hitting 260.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking about? He's hitting 263. What are you going to hit 500 the rest of the way and get up to 290? Like, you're not winning the MVP hitting 263. And let's say he does go crazy, like you said, and he ends up hitting 275, 30-30. Like, that's not the MVP. I'm sorry. And the Mets sneak in as the third wild card, maybe, versus the Dodgers, who might have the number one seed. And he's clearly the best player. Like, it's so clearly Ohtani. And the reason why I'm getting upset is, like, so many people have been trying to tear that down all year. So many people. The entire year. Nobody gives him any respect for MVP except the books and Dodger fans. And me.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, great season, though, Lindor. I mean, might be
Amazing
his best as a
season.
Met. Yeah, he's been awesome.
I bet on Lindor every single year to win the MVP because he's always 20th in odds and he always finishes fourth. And I feel good based on my line value.
It's an
And he
offensive
never wins
award,
it.
man.
You just can't hit 270 and win the award. All right. Number 3. Royce Lewis will be a consensus top 5 offensive player in baseball by the end of the Twins run in October. That was asked by SHAAN_Don8. I didn't put down Instagram or Twitter. I will find it, but it's on one of those.
What would he have to do to be considered that? It would have to be legitimately the best postseason we've ever seen, I think.
Here's the thing. Even if he has the greatest postseason we have ever seen, is he a better hitter than Judge?
No.
Is he a better hitter than Ohtani?
No.
Is he a better hitter than Juan Soto?
Probably not.
Is he a better hitter than Yordan Alvarez?
No. And probably not even Freddie Freeman. So, no.
Bryce Harper?
I mean, if he had like the best ever, but still, no, I'm not regarding him as a
I'm not
better
taking
Bryce
him over
Harper.
Harper. He's played 117 career games. It's just like not going to happen. Even no
I
matter
get the
what.
162 pace thing, but like it's.
And think about it like this too. Is he better than Corey Seager? What Corey Seager did last year?
No, and Seager wasn't considered, I don't think, a top 5 hitter in the game after the playoffs.
He's definitely up there, right? Top 10 player in baseball type conversations. I remember I got real crazy. I was like, is he the second best player in baseball?
Well,
Like,
and the crazy thing is, like, we talk about how he's legit the best player in the world, like, when he's on the field, like, hyperbolically, like he's slugging 600, which is outrageous.
outrageous.
Right? In 47 games. Ohtani's still out slugging that.
And think about
Judge
it.
is out slugging that, I believe.
He's played 47 games this year. His 158 WRC plus is amazing. It's 58% above league average. It's not even as good as Gunnar Henderson's.
Yeah.
Right? He'd be 10th in F4. And also, the part of the take that also people forget about, this includes the Twins going on a crazy run in October without Joe Ryan.
Yeah. This is a double. This is definitely the most insane one for sure. And I love Royce, and I get it because you probably saw the per 162, basis. But as you said, there's 10 hitters in Major League Baseball that have played a full season this year that have a WRC plus higher. So, like, that paired with the fact that he hasn't been available, paired with the fact that the Twins are going to have to make this crazy run. I think this is by far the craziest one. I love it. Like, it's hilarious. It's great. He'd have to legitimately slug 700, I think. And even that, Aaron Judge slugged 700 this year. You've got Soto slugging 600. You got Bobby Witt slugging 600. You've got Ohtani slugging 600. Like, how is Royce going to do it? Like, it would be by slugging. He ain't out slugging those guys.
And also, like, what if Bobby Witt goes on a crazy run in October?
He's there.
You'd probably rather have Bobby Witt. Like, I can't get over the fact, like, and I have already made this mistake. Like, I understand where this commentary is coming from. I have fallen into this. How many times on this podcast did I just glaze the shit out of Byron Buxton?
Yeah.
I think at the beginning of this podcast, I was coming on with my hot takes being like, Byron Buxton is the best player in baseball.
And you said better than Trout.
I think maybe I don't think I said that, but around that type of level of what I was doing. And Byron Buxton, you go per 162. He's going to have a 180 WRC plus. He's going to hit 50 jack steal, 50 bases, be the best defensive center fielder we've ever seen. So I got that. But at some point, when do we say that the games played is an issue? And congratulations, you did it in 47 games. Remember we were talking about the Dodgers Mickey Mouse World Series, or at least that's what you like to call it? That was played in 60 games. So this wouldn't have even been a full season in a 60-game shortened season. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No matter what he does, he cannot be considered a top 5 player until he plays a full season. Like, we're not asking for much. Once he does it, we can start talking. But even still, if he plays a full 162 and has an amazing postseason. There have been guys who have been doing this for the last half decade.
Yeah.
Who are putting up better numbers over 162 than Royce Lewis is even putting up in 47 games. Gunnar Henderson is third in AL MVP right now, putting up a better WRC plus than Royce Lewis is in 47 games.
Yeah. So
that's where I'm at here.
Yeah, no, this is the craziest one, and I love it. Thank you for asking it. It was fantastic, or saying it. Fantastic. You're crazy, and I love it.
You're crazy, and I love it. All right, let's get into the would you rather one, or it's more what is more likely. So we finish out the hot takes. Do you think I grouped them correctly? Do you think I got
I honestly think
wrong?
You did. I think I agree with them.
Because that's what I was saying. The Braves finishing under 500 is definitely hot, but is it hotter than any of those?
No.
So what is more likely, Arm Layton? The Mariners finish sub 500, a collapse that will be studied for a long time, asked by Brian Piercy 94 on X. Or J-Rod heats up and leads the Mariners to the American League pennant, asked by Evan 12 Smith on Instagram. So you got two different sides of Mariners fans right here. You got they're going to collapse and it will be studied because this team was 10 games up in the division not so long ago. And now they are 5 games back of the division as we sit here today, on the precipice of actually being under 500 if they lose their next couple of games. Or they make that third wild card spot. Or maybe they win the division, whatever. They're able to overtake the Astros, overtake Twins, Royals, whoever's in that bucket, even overtaking the Red Sox. And they go on to win the American League pennant. I have my answer. I'm curious of yours.
I think it's far more likely that they fizzle.
Yeah.
And I like this team, and I think J-Rod's been great. He got, of late, starting to look like himself again. They got to figure out the ballpark situation there, why no one can hit there, whether it's them or the opposing team, what that whole deal is. But I don't know. It's just too inconsistent. I think they're really starting to feel the weight of it now, and it becomes like heavier and heavier and heavier. As it builds, like, oh no, we can't have this collapse. I think it's much more likely that they come up short.
Crazy, right? Like, I don't even have much to add other than I can't believe it. I mean, I can kind of believe it, but I think what's incredible about it is I still don't even have faith that if Julio Rodriguez gets so hot that this team is actually good enough to keep winning games. I think that's the difference. Is like the past Mariners teams, I thought that. But this rotation is great. The bullpen is not as great. And the offense, like, even if Julio goes crazy, like, this offense is too bad. Like, what is he going to hit a home run every AB?
They're 27 and 36 away from home. Like, that's not gonna fly. It's tough.
Yeah. It's tough. Well, anything else to add before we say goodbye?
That's it. The only other thing I was going to add is I think it's not that hot. It's probably more on the mild medium side. I think the Padres finish with the best record in baseball. That's my hot take.
Here's my hot. Medium. I like that take though, because that's more of a medium. Here's my hot take. You tell me where to place this. I think the current standings right now, like where everyone is at right now, is exactly how it ends. Right? Everyone's talking about how it's so weird. And
that's hot. I mean, that's really, really difficult to do.
Right?
So
I'll go through it.
I'll say that's pretty hot. And I actually kind of agree. But I'll say high medium. High medium.
High medium. I like that. Yeah. I think the Yankees win the East. I think the Guardians win the Central. Because everyone's talking about the Twins and the Royals are just going to overtake them. Like, that was the two biggest hot takes asked in the comment section, was either the Twins take over or the Royals take over. I think the Guardians still win this division. I think the Astros win. And I think the 3 wild cards are the Orioles, the Royals, and the Twins. Yeah. I don't think that the Red Sox are able to overtake. When we go to the National League, I think the Phillies, Dodgers, and Brewers all win their divisions. But I love your hot take with the Padres, but I still think those 3 teams win. And then I think it's the Padres, the Diamondbacks, and the Braves making the playoffs. And I also think it's in that order. Like, I think it's exactly going to
just end the season
how it is right now.
They should just call it. It's over.
And you know why I come to you to say that? Because I have been, before this episode in the last couple of days, I have been looking for a lot of lines to bet futures on some of these teams to overtake. I can't find anything I like because I like all the teams that are right there. Of course, I'll probably be wrong. On August 20th, the standings right now are probably not going to look like they are at the end of the season. But what I am saying is I tried to do all the research I could to find a team. I couldn't. So that's where I'm at. I think it's going to stay exactly the way it is.
I like it.
All right. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode of the Just Baseball Show. The best way to support is to leave a 5-star review, whether it be on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. And as well, to support our merch, go get yourself some Just Baseball merch. Of course, I'm rocking my athletic tee. I'm rocking my Just Baseball hat. Arm's rocking his Just Baseball hat. And thankfully, we don't have Jack on to not wear any merch and not rep the company. What a loser. But don't be a loser like Jack. Go get yours in the episode description. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that big red subscribe button. Why not? It's free, and we got videos coming out every single day. In the comment section of this YouTube page or of this YouTube video, what are your hot takes? Do you disagree with any of ours? Do you think that we didn't give enough credence to some of these takes? Let us know in the YouTube comments below. For Arm Layton, I'm Peter Oppel. Of course, we're going to see you tomorrow. And with that, thank you, everybody.